This week, CityNews has been investigating the death of 4-year-old Keira Kagan. We've told you about a report that concludes she was likely killed by her father 3 years ago in a murder-suicide, and her death could have been prevented. And now, in this exclusive story, we look at how Keira's voice was lost, unheard by the very system that was supposed to be protecting her.
I'm Keira and I'm eating a dried out green bean.
These home videos show a happy little girl, but underneath her smile, Keira Kagan was struggling. In her own way, she was telling people she was in distress, but no one responsible for deciding her fate took appropriate action.
All of the concerns that I had for Keira's emotional and physical well-being, and I was completely ignored.
This report, obtained exclusively by CityNews, was written for the chief coroner by the Child and Youth Death Review and Analysis Unit and takes particular aim at Jewish Family and Child Services, the children's aid agency overseeing the case. The report finds Keira needed treatment for distress and faced known exposure to intimate partner violence.
Another quote, child protection workers had, quote, evidence of emotional harm and little was done.
Nothing was done.
During the custody dispute that lasted most of Keira's life, her mother, Jennifer Kagan, warned the courts and Jewish Family and Child Services multiple times that Keira was in harm's way when she was with her father. The report finds educators expressed concerns, and Keira herself gave examples of isolation to her caseworker.
Coercive, controlling behaviors, cloister them in a house, shut all of the blinds. I begged and pleaded with them.
The report states the CAS exists to protect children, but finds Keira was not protected. It cites evidence of coercive control, but no direct intervention to reduce the potential risk, and concludes the case should have been assessed as a form of child abuse. It wasn't.
Keira was seeing a private psychologist who wrote several reports expressing concerns, and that was promptly ignored.
In the days before Keira's death, as Brown's concerning behavior was escalating, a judge asked for a risk assessment. Shortly after, on a Friday, Keira's mother says the caseworker called and told her Brown was exhibiting the behavior of a person who could harm or kill their child. But the agency had decided to wait to address it. Brown and Keira fell to their deaths from this cliff in Milton 2 days later. The report describes Keira as a child with aspirations of changing the world. Her mother is determined she still will. In the midst of grief, Kagan created Keira's Law. If passed by the federal government, it would require judges to have regular training on domestic violence and coercive control. It's close to becoming law. The Senate Legal Committee has just recommended it move forward.
We could not allow what happened to Keira to be buried. I mean, when that's your child and that's your child's life, you can't just, have things shoved under a rug. That is an insult to an already deceased child.
Kagan's advocacy has come at a cost. She is constantly reliving her child's death. But she says she won't stop until she knows she has made a change. She has to, for Keira.
I can imagine her saying, Mom, Phil, like, you've got this, like, keep going, right? Keep trying to fight for other children.
Kagan is suing Jewish Family and Child Services. They have declined to comment. One of the many recommendations in this report is that a child in Keira's situation would get their own lawyer, one that would solely look out for their best interests, so their voice would not be lost. There are so many failures that have been identified in this case in the family courts and in child services. They will all be examined in depth in an upcoming coroner's inquest. The hope is lessons will be learned and never forgotten.